Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Lou Streets. I'm back with another segment of LS Vision. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you are returning, welcome back. If you are new here, please hit that subscribe button for me with the bell notification. So, in one of my recent videos, I talked about with all the hype and hoopla surrounding Avengers Endgame, that there should be some type of video game adaptation. I'll put a card up here on the left-hand side of the screen just so you guys can check it out if you haven't seen it. Well, it seems that also with Mortal Kombat 11 doing well in its April 2019 release, they're going to be pretty much using this same formula except in reverse order. The video game is doing well, so it's been fully confirmed that a movie based on the video game will be on the way. Let's check out the information here. Alright, so let's check out this confirmation. So it says that following the release of Mortal Kombat 11 last month, it's now been confirmed a new Mortal Kombat movie in the form of a reboot is on the way. The Warner Brothers action film will be shot in South Australia and is being led by Malaysian-born Australian producer James Wan, who is best known for his work on the Saw series, Furious 7, and more recently Aquaman. Pre-production is already underway and filming is set to take place between September and December. In an extended portion of the article, it states that Simon McQuoid, who is making his directorial debut, said the film would channel the core essence of the characters featured in Mortal Kombat, but will go deeper than the video game series. A quote from the report is, "We've gone back to the absolute sort of source material, and we've taken that and we are turning that into an epic world." Okay, so when it comes to the whole video game to movie adaptation, I feel like it can only go one of two ways, and that's either a hardcore cult following or a box office bomb. Now, first of all, you have the purists who want you to stick to the original storyline, and that's only because they want to know what's coming up, and I don't know, feel like they have some type of connection to Easter eggs and tributes within the film. Then you have the casuals who's just, they kind of like the game, so they're going to go watch the movie, and the problem with that is sometimes studios can fuck it up by trying to appease the casuals too much and commercialize it to make this big old hit, and then they kind of stray away from what the video game was about, and it pisses the purist off, and now you just got this shitload of a movie. So when it comes to that whole potential situation, the number one movie that comes to mind for me is Resident Evil, and I say this because in the first few games it was a horror survival type of video game where you had limited resources and you were pretty much fighting off zombies and monsters trying to find some form of safety outside of Raccoon City. But then again, by the time it got to the next gen consoles with 4, 5, or 6, it was like a run and shoot 'em up. You had guns, you had bombs. I mean, you had a lot of shit that was going on in the back side of the games versus the front side. And that's why the whole remake recently in 2019 was a big deal for everyone, because it kind of went back to the classic story about what the game was supposed to be. Now you translate that to the movies with Milla Jovovich, she was like scared and lost in the first movie. By the third movie, she was doing martial arts, flipping around and shit, damn near flying, wielding blades, shooting guns. So I mean, that's a whole different approach of what the game was supposed to be initially. But the funny thing is, people like me, I enjoyed that film. So I guess you could say I was kind of like that hardcore cult following, even though technically the film didn't follow what the game was supposed to be about originally. Okay, so now the flip side to that is the box office bomb that I mentioned earlier. And the prime example of this would be Assassin's Creed. Now, I'm not necessarily referring to the revenue that's generated, because people could see that out of just opening weekend curiosity. So I'm not referring to the money that's being made from the film. I'm more or less referring to, I never really heard people talk about this film in my inner circles. And of course, like, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. So you could feel completely different or feel like that you met a bunch of people who totally enjoyed the film. I didn't really give the film a chance for some odd reason, just based on what I seen, even though I love the game. And the funny thing about that is, when I was gathering footage for this particular video, in the trailer and some of the different footage I saw, the shit actually looks pretty amazing. Like, it's very akin to the costumes in the video game. The fighting looks on point, and I seen them jumping over buildings and things like that you would see in the video game, and it truly looked accurate. So I don't really know how the whole box office bomb versus hardcore cult following comes to life. It's just one of those things where some games just get the pass as far as becoming a movie, while others don't. So that's the curiosity about Mortal Kombat, because we have a classic film in the very first Mortal Kombat where it probably was kind of cheesy, but as a kid, I totally remember loving this film. Okay, so like I said with Mortal Kombat, the film, when you look at it now as an adult, I loved it as a kid, and honestly, I probably would still watch it today if you catch me on the right day and I don't have anything to do. But ironically, as far as me gathering this footage, Mortal Kombat looks awful. Like, that first movie looks terrible. It's such a bad display of what they were supposed to have done in the video game and trying to translate it on screen. And the reason I say this is because there is one particular scene where Liu Kang is fighting Sub-Zero. It takes Sub-Zero like 20 something seconds to try to amass his ice ball and throw it at Liu Kang. The flip side of that is some water in the room, and Liu Kang throws it at Sub-Zero to kill him when it freezes and pretty much pierces him as this large icicle spear. Now, the craziest part about the whole scene to me is when Liu Kang is spinning the bucket to throw it at Sub-Zero, it's an open bucket of water. Liu Kang spins this water like 20 times, no water comes out the bucket. So I mean, just small details like that being horrible, it just makes it like one of those things where you look back on it and you laugh at it because we followed it as a cult following. But it wasn't good. And then you translate that to the follow-up, which was the sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. That one is even worse, and we watched it and we kind of knew that it was bad, but we still tuned into it. I mean, the choreographing of the fights are awful. It's really, really slow and obvious that they're faking it. Granted, we don't have the technology that we have today, but still, they could have did a much better job, but we just didn't care when we were children. Even one of the funniest things to me about the whole film, Jax never has his shirt on. Like, I don't remember seeing Jax with his shirt on in the whole movie, and he's always like baby oiled up, ready to fight somebody. So it's like all these little cheesy things, but when we were kids, we didn't care about it. We just wanted to see it. So now that I'm a little bit older, and I'm kind of wondering what approach they're going to take to this new Mortal Kombat film, it makes me think of this trailer for a film that was supposed to be coming out, but it never did. It actually evolved into a web series, but it was called Mortal Kombat Rebirth. Now, this shit actually looks really, really, really amazing. It has Michael Jai White playing Jax Briggs, it has Sonya in it, and it also has Scorpion in it. And they're starting off where they're interrogating him in this room and pretty much freeing Scorpion from prison, which is kind of ironic because Scorpion's like a dead ninja from hell. So I don't know how you put a dead ninja from hell in prison in the first place. But regardless, they show him this classified folder, and they're basically sending him out to kill Sub-Zero because it turns out he killed the wrong Sub-Zero. I'm assuming in the trailer it's supposed to be Bi-Han. So that looks a little bit better, but then that never turned into anything because I guess budgeting never got behind it. It actually turned into this thing called, what was the web series called? Mortal Kombat Legacy. So let's take a look at Mortal Kombat Legacy and see what that turned into. Okay, so as far as Mortal Kombat Legacy goes, I feel like this was the closest thing to having a real adaptation of what Mortal Kombat was supposed to be put on screen versus some of the cheesy shit we saw with the first two films. Now, Mortal Kombat Rebirth was a serious trailer that had Michael Jai White and had the scene with Johnny Cage and Baraka where they were fighting. You could tell they tried to make it a little more unique because there's even a scene where Johnny Cage is fighting Baraka and Baraka has dreadlocks, and I don't really know where that came from, but I could see them trying to modernize and add a little bit of style to it. The scene with Scorpion inside of the interrogation room, it was pretty dark and kind of had like a more serious drama action feel, so I'm cool with that. The problem is when it evolved into the web series Mortal Kombat Legacy, it just didn't have any financial backing. If you look at the game side by side with the actual displays of the characters in the film, it just didn't look accurate. And I know that comes from just not having the resources available to really bring it to life in the way that they wanted to. I think the director still had a good approach. He tried to make it serious, tried to make it very true to what Mortal Kombat is supposed to be about, with a serious story. It wasn't like just a fun action, fast and the furious with Mortal Kombat characters approach. So I give him props for that. I feel like his approach with the financial backing that apparently this film is supposed to get, which is why I'm figuring that is news in the first place, would be the perfect Mortal Kombat. And I mean it in this way. Most of us fans are like in our 30s, maybe 30 to 37 years old, who love the Mortal Kombat franchise. We grew up with the game. And then you have the new generation. So I feel like what they should do, keep all the violence in that made us love it in the first place. Because Mortal Kombat was never about like martial arts or shit like that. It was a game that was meant to be, the violence was the selling point. That's why they used to try to ban it as far as like ratings and things like that in the past. So you give it enough violence where it's cool for us hardcore fans to love it, but at the same time you make it big enough and a big enough presentation where the casuals can love it also as far as the new generation goes. Now, if you could maybe try to give like an analogy of how they could pull this off, I feel like it's got to be a rated R film but still be big and successful. So the main approach would be like a John Wick, because when it comes to movies, we never really question the violence we see in movies, whether that's Saw or John Wick. And like they said, the guy who is producing this, he's actually worked on Saw in the past, so that's not a bad idea. But it seems like when it came to Mortal Kombat, it would always get a bad rap for having too much violence. The violence isn't realistic, it's just a simulation of shit that really can't happen in real life. So I don't see any reason for them to really like try to water this down to the point where they make it a big hit. Put it right down the middle for the hardcores to love it, but the casuals can love it too. So if you give it a dark approach, the storyline, I'm really not tripping off the storyline. I mean, it's so many fucking storylines in Mortal Kombat and so many time travels and rating consulting with the Elder Gods and all that stuff that you honestly can just do whatever storyline you want. Just stick to some of the true rivalries in the whole entire saga and it'll be fine. Make sure you include the violence because we gotta have the violence. It's not Mortal Kombat without violence, so please don't water that down. And then just give it the John Wick approach where you want to put it on a big grand display, but at the same time, you don't want to make it where it's so commercialized that it's not what Mortal Kombat is about, because you gotta have the violence in there. You just gotta have it. So I feel like I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not really sure what to expect. I know that as far as the gameplay goes, they said they plan on having 3 to 4 years worth of content. So I would assume that the film would come out around that ballpark to just kind of keep things going when we get to like the 2 or 3 year window and the game starts to die down. Then you drop the film to make people just fall back in love with the game and keep playing it. So let me know what you guys are looking forward to. Like I said, I don't want to necessarily be against it, but at the same time, I'm not super excited. I'm just gonna have to reserve my judgment based on the first 2 films we got with Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I feel like it can only go up. I mean, it can't get worse than that. And like I said, I still would watch this till this day if I just didn't have anything to do, because it's a nostalgia thing for me. But if they really want to make this film dope, they should go ahead and just incorporate some of those approaches I said, as far as serious violence, serious action drama, and not too watered down for casuals. Let me know what you guys are looking forward to as far as this film, or what you expect with this film. Let me know if you even are excited about it or if you think it's a bad idea. I really have mixed emotions, but I just want to kind of throw my opinion out there, and I guess we'll just have to wait till we see the film and see what happens. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys are looking forward to it. As always, if you did like the video, please hit the like button and also hit subscribe. Stick around and come kick it with me. I'm going to be back with tons of more Mortal Kombat 11 content. That's tutorials, fights, gauntlets, all type of things. I just want to I'm really diving into this, because like, it's something about this game where it just took me back to my childhood. So hearing about this film is great, but I'll reserve my judgment. Until the next time, I will catch you guys. It's your boy Lou Streets. I am out. Peace.